Welcome to Sustain News, where we bring you renewable energy and sustainability news. Today we're joined by a guest who was present at the COP26. She's talking to us from Glasgow. Our guest is Kimberly van den Hole. She's a PhD student writing her paper on environmental discourses. Ms. van den Hole joined the climate conference COP26 through the Free University of Brussels. Welcome, Ms. van den Hole. We're happy that you made time for us.
Good morning. It's a pleasure.
We're going to talk about the future of climate change action today. Could you tell us what is the biggest challenge for the next decade to keep on track for reaching net zero?
What I think is the biggest challenge, in fact, there are two. The first one is about some issues and topics that are not discussed about. So people are not talking about these issues, they are avoiding them, while in fact they are very important to take some climate action, but it would require too much change in people's daily life or business as usual, and therefore these are issues that are not talked about, and this kind of things very scares me off. Then the second biggest challenge I think are false promises. So we've heard a lot of promises, we've heard a lot of goals that are being set, but the fulfillment is not there. And so we've seen it in the past with international climate finance, for example. So developed countries promised to deliver climate finance to less developed countries, but we've seen that these promises have not been fulfilled. And so this is really a danger or a threat to, again, this climate conference and, of course, to climate action.
Thank you for pointing this out. Now, 450 of the biggest investors and financial services firms have committed themselves to invest more than 130 trillion until 2050. How do you estimate this commitment in terms of an accelerated energy transition?
So it's really good that money has been promised, but there again, it is not enough. And we see as the promises of money that will be invested into climate action, then we see that this money is just a fraction of it is used for going to space, for example. So it is not enough. Climate change requires action now. It's an urgency, so we have to use all of our means. And the second thing I want to say about that is that that money will be invested in so-called green solutions, but it's not clear really what those solutions will be. And the question remains, how green is green? We have to be very careful about certain solutions that are being advanced because they bring about other environmental consequences. Or it's more of a greenwashing. They only look green, but actually they are not. So it's really a warning to look at how that money is really being invested. You can advance different solutions, but not every solution is a real solution.
All right, I have one final question for you. Which discussed measures are the most promising approaches for decarbonizing the industry sector from your point of view?
So I think there are a lot of important sectors such as agriculture and housing, but what for me is the most important is what we can learn from indigenous people and local communities and how they relate to nature, their environment and the climate. We have to learn to relate to our environment in a very different way than we have been doing, or that many people have been doing for the past decades. If we do not change that, I think we will just be doing business as usual. We will continue to exploit our natural resources and harm the environment. So for me, it's really learning and be inspired by how indigenous people and many local communities relate to their environment, nature, and climate.
All right, thank you, Ms. van den Hole. It was great having you here.
Thank you.
It is important to look at all the sustainability goals and to think about the long-term impacts which different zero-emission solutions can have on the planet indeed. We're pleased to have her take on the future of decarbonization. This was Sustain News. We wish you an electrifying day.